Hi, today I'm going to say a word about homelessness and my answer to the problem which plagues our nation today at large. I'm in the United States of America today. Obviously, there's homelessness all around the world, but today I'm just going to speak about United States, and in particular, I am in the city of Los Angeles, so I'm going to kind of be more particular, but this can also just be thought of anywhere. In order to help in an efficient way. So, homelessness could happen, to any of us. We could lose our finances, our job. We could have a falling out with our family, lose all of our friends. Any variety of issues could arise where, any given one of us could be homeless. So I would hope that we could all come to care in that respect. Also, another issue is the public health and safety issue. Just as an example, say there's a wife and her kids walking, or women and children walking, and down the sidewalk, and then what do they come upon? Some homeless individual sleeping on the sidewalk with their pants hanging down. Is that appropriate? Another issue which affects us all is, well, if there's, just to use this as an example, if you own property, real estate of any nature, if you have a homeless individual setting up camp, in the storefront, the sidewalk in front of your storefront, or in front of your, condominium building, or in your neighborhood, well, that's not going to necessarily be too good for your real estate value. So I think there's a lot of issues. I think it's going to take both sides to understand the responsible thing to do about this. The people, all of us who are not homeless, right? And then the individuals who are homeless, we sort of have to be in agreement that, okay, well, let's accomplish this. Let's fix this problem to the degree that we can today. So the simple thing that I would say is we want to provide food, clothing, and shelter with a capacity of love, I hope, involved, right? So my general idea is campgrounds. I've been to many campgrounds and, in my life, and, I just think that, hey, it was always fun camping, even a lot of times when I was growing up. I'm just using that as an example. We want to have, security, restrooms, shower facilities. Those are really the main things. I envision the thing where we have assigned spaces. I mean, today I hear all these just accounts of, people give blankets to the homeless, but then half of the time they get thrown in the trash can. Why? Well, because they don't have like an assigned space. The blankets are in front of someone's storefront or on someone's lawn. And so a police officer or the property owner may throw that stuff in the trash can. You can't really blame someone sometimes for throwing that stuff in the trash can. But so if we can do this and we can give them a place with, they can call, oh, this is my home, this is my space. Just for the sake of, you'd ask me like, well, what kind of layout would you have? I mean, once again, all those details have to be worked out, but picture just even like a parking lot with like parking lot spaces. So we basically, everyone would sort of get the equivalency of like a parking lot space or something like that. And, if there's families, families can maybe organize their spaces together so they can put them together to have like a little bigger area to work. Now someone would say, well, why are you thinking about this instead of, structures? I'm like, well, some people may, once we consolidate and get everyone to this zone, of course, we'll bring in social workers. And, for those who maybe we would be outsourcing to other, types of housing. However, I guess the general concept that I have in mind is fairness. Is it fair to, say there's someone who's, use this as an example, say there's someone who's making like $20,000 a year. They're paying their bills, they're not relying on the government, but they're just living in like a, kind of a less than desired, apartment or something like that. Well, is it fair to say we're going to give free housing to these people who are homeless while this guy who's out there working his fingers to the bone is barely getting by? What about him? Are we going to give him free housing? That guy may say, well, if they're going to give free housing away, I'll just quit my job and become homeless and I'll get free housing. So just from that perspective, I think that, using the campground model would be the most fair way if we're talking about, tax dollars. In LA, they're talking about next year they want to spend around, I don't know if this is definite. The proposal is to spend $100 million. $100 million. Most of us couldn't imagine that amount of money that we'd ever acquire that, but we're talking about a lot of people here in Los Angeles, obviously. We're talking estimates somewhere between 25,000 to 75,000. It's kind of read numerous reports. It's kind of vague. I don't know if there's an accurate count, so it's sort of like you figure it out as you go along. Now, again, just a quick word on housing. Of course, if there's people who want to use their private money and give away private housing to homeless people all day long using their private money, that's totally go do that all day long. I'm just thinking about this from the public tax dollar end of things. What's the most fair way to go about this? Now, some of you may say, what about cold areas? Well, I would encourage, a large, migrations to the warmer areas as a primary thing, to deal with this if we're, following this campground model. Obviously, it's a little tough to sleep sometimes when it's below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, when you're outside. And now, the only thing I can say about that is we could provide sleeping bags. Obviously, I went camping many times when I was a kid growing up when the weather was below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and I was okay. I had a warm sleeping bag inside the tent or what have you. So, another thing that, if it's applicable, if people, because I see this working with a cooperation of public and private funds. If people want to, I'm not saying that people are going to donate in a warehouse, but if someone wants to donate in warehouses, or even if we figure out a way to use the public money, that may be another example. Now, in Los Angeles, the ground is scarce. So, where are you going to, some people would also talk about, let's build like parking lot type structures, different levels going up, if you will. Or even you could dig down and build whole layers down to help the homeless. We could really do a lot if we wanted to say, okay, well, we need to really put an end to this so that this doesn't, plague us anymore, if you will, because it is a plague. And as I mentioned, it's a health and safety issue for the reasons I already mentioned. And just for example, I'm driving around LA and sometimes I almost hit homeless people because they're standing on the curbs or they're doing this and that. So there's a lot that goes into this, and people have their tents set up right on the edge of the sidewalk where the road is. So in LA, what do we got? Here's downtown LA. Here's like Long Beach down here. Here's like Malibu up here. So of course, and then there's the outlying areas of LA going all around. How do we do this? Do we have? I propose, or I would think that we would have more than one camp. There would be just different locations dotted around where applicable. Now, there is also, this is another thing to throw in, and I have seen public officials speak about this. There's a lot of federal, state, and local government-owned properties, whether you're talking about properties that have structures on them or just vacant land, which that could tie in, and we could use this to say, hey, let's use that as a resource to help put an end to this problem. So the feeding times. Yeah, I know it sounds strange to say feedings, but I've helped to volunteer with the homeless, and that is a common term that's used, is a feeding. Like, oh, you're going to go down to help out with the feeding tonight, and just it's kind of it's just kind of interesting. Oh, a feeding, it's like, this is how I envision it, because this is sort of like what's happening now. I've volunteered with groups where today there are grocery stores, like kind of right before their produce goes bad, grocery stores today, as we all know, probably throw away tons of produce. So it's like, I would work with them as a government, and say, hey, we can give you tax breaks or other incentives to, would you be a part of this program where, like, right before your food goes bad, would you donate it in? We'll just have a truck that goes and makes the rounds and goes and picks it all up and takes it to the different locations where we're preparing, so we could have different feeding times at these shelters, in like a mass production type way. Efficiency is the key here. This could get really advanced then, just to paint a little more of a picture. we could have, garden areas set up. We could have, there could be areas where, barter. I don't know, bartering areas. What does that mean? Well, or selling. I mean, I don't know how this would be received, but I mean, come on, could we give them, like, imagine there would be like a tax-free zone. I'm not saying that this would be all that popular, but you never know. I mean, homeless people find all kinds of things, like good products. Imagine there's an area where they can sell different wares, and maybe some of them do arts and crafts. And so we could have a tax-free zone within this, different campground structures where they can, maybe, I'm just saying, to get this really moving. And of course, again, when we bring the social workers in, we wouldn't want to force anybody to talk to social workers. However, those who want to try to, get training or job work, anything like that to kind of rise out of that, well, I would say that we can, more adequately handle that when we consolidate and sort of set up this system. Of course, there are some people who don't want help. They're going to be a career homeless individual. They're mad at the government or something like that. There's tons of people who are homeless are there. Maybe they have for a variety of reasons. As I already mentioned, they lost their job, or some people have medical issues. Any number of things could be the reason why. Some people could have been wrongfully attacked, and therefore they're outplaced or displaced in some fashion. So, just for perspective again, there are certain areas of LA where this, is allowed to go on, and they let people set up tents and encampments and what have you. I'm just saying, I don't currently own any property in LA, but if I did, I don't know if I would like that. I mean, obviously, the people of Beverly Hills, the property owners of Beverly Hills, haven't put up with that, right? So why are we asking the people of like downtown LA to put up with this? And I do mean that. Again, I care, and this is coming from a caring perspective, but we also have to think about responsibility and what is fair and just to property owners and all of us, right? I mean, do we want to go out and see this problem every day of my life? I drive around, I see it. That can bring a person down. That makes me not want to work as hard because I'm like, God, what's this government doing? Our government's not even taking care of this. It's like we're working, we're paying all these taxes, and they're going to allocate, $100 million. I mean, $100 million, we can set this campground system up. Yes, we're not going to be able to build houses and give houses to everyone, but we can give a campground space to everyone that is secure, and it has, showers, restrooms, etc. Again, some of the, in LA, the land space is scarce. So, we'll have to figure out, some of it will be on the outlying areas. Some of it will just be smaller camps dotted in and around. This would all have to be working and planning, and obviously you have to get agreeances of, okay, well, there's, are these people who live there okay with us setting up a camp there? So we have to really work, and there has to be public, oversight. But if we get the ball rolling on this, we can get this done sooner than later. I guess that's my whole point here. Is just as a note, so if this isn't going to happen in LA, it could happen anywhere. If LA is not able or willing to do this, again, this is up to you, the people. I'm just one guy. The people are going to have to demand this. There have been proposals like camps in the past, but I don't know if it's the same capacity that I'm talking about. But just saying, hey, let's take care of all this. There's a lot of cities, obviously, where there's less homeless numbers than in Los Angeles, so maybe this even would be easier. But you know what? This is Hollywood, right? This is Hollywood. So I would say let's show them what it's all about. So I thank you for your time today in listening to this, and I hope that we can just have a beautiful society moving forward in the right direction. Hope and great peace.